else admire about who you've seen at the quarterback
Yeah, yeah, he's extremely talented. I'm partial to coaches' kids. I'm one, and my son, played for me and now coaches with us, and so he's you can just tell he's a student of the game. He's been around this game his whole life and extremely accurate. But he's a talented player. He may be the best quarterback we play the entire season. And so just a ton of respect for him and what he's put on film. And obviously the talent that's around him is impressive. So, yeah, that just definitely, that's the first opponent, so it's a 1-0 mindset. So that's the group that you focus on in that regard. And so just a lot of respect for us, without question, for him and the team that he has. And I think, yeah, he's going to be one of the best, if not the best, quarterback we'll play the entire season. So, but when I tell you what, we play a bunch of good ones. When you go through and you look at the top 10 quarterbacks projected for the NFL draft, I think I saw in there we got 6 of them during the regular season. So, and obviously he's one of them. So just, really good football player, great football team.
Tom, what type of answers did you get from your linebacker depth during the spring, and what answers are you still looking for moving forward?
Yeah, I think, you have the 2 guys that have established themselves, with Sammy and Wade, and then Jeremiah coming in new. He's a guy that did a lot of really good things this spring and want to continue to see him grow and develop, and he has. He's had a tremendous offseason. He's worked extremely hard, been one of our top workers when we go through it. Even just met yesterday, and his name came up multiple times, from our strength staff and from our coaches, and watching him work this summer. I think D has had a great offseason as well, and just really excited about him. And, man, what a great mindset, great worker, cares so much. We need him. Kobe didn't practice in the spring, and that's the one there. Jamal didn't practice in the spring much, and he got injured early, and so just those guys, to me, we're expecting them. We need to see them. The last 2 I just mentioned did not practice this spring, and so their fall camp's going to be huge. And so just really feel like that whole room, to me, CJ, he's another guy that's got to step up and need that depth, and even Drew's young, Wade's younger brother, but shows flashes of doing a lot of great things. And so I just, to me, that's a room to me that should give us great depth on special teams, great, experience on special teams, tackling in space, making plays in space. Our 2 cover units, I always consider those the first snap of the defensive series, whether it's covering a punt or covering a kickoff, and those are critical, and those should be just littered with linebackers. And so to me, those guys make up that group, and I'm excited about them, but we got to have a great training camp.
What is TJ's part to free up everything else?
Well, when you have a guy on one edge, that creates disruption, that affects the quarterback, that without question is a guy that the opposing team has to have a plan for. That's huge, and that affects everybody else. You only have so many linemen. You can help those linemen with the tight end, you can help them with the running back, and schematically, or the quarterback can just try to throw off of him. So, but bottom line is that kind of player, creates, an adjustment by the offense. And so then we have a plan to be able to react to that, And so had a similar situation a year ago with a young man that they had to do that with. And so it allows you to be able to structurally do some things, and you try to use that to your advantage, and also you try to, get them to be able to, they're going to have to block them, and so hopefully they're going to feel like they got to take more than just one guy to block them. Well, if you do that, then that affects and frees up other guys, So I just think that it's a situation where, he's a great player. He's worked extremely hard. I expect him to have his best season he's ever had this year, because that's what you do when you're a great player. You just keep getting better every single year, and you just keep being more effective. And so I just think that he's got a great mindset. Love how he works. I love how he handles himself. He's a humble guy that is very appreciative of what he's been given here, and he's just proud to be a Clemson Tiger, which is pretty awesome.
What stands out about Peter as you've kind of gotten to know him, and you saw him when you've gotten up close to him?
Yeah, I tell you, he big, powerful football player. Just can manhandle individuals. Not a lot of guys can do that in the box at this level. And I think he's a tremendous person. You know, he's got a great demeanor about him. He's respected by his teammates. He's got a good heart for people, for others. I love that about him. And he's a worker. You know, I think sometimes talented guys, you know, respond to that differently. You know, I think that, and I challenged him when I got here about, his body composition and just his weight, and just I wanted him to be lean and explosive and powerful, and felt like there's things we needed to change with that. And he responded. Obviously, Coach Easton, did a great job with that. Our shrink staff, our nutrition staff, and just being able to allow him to have a great season, coming up, and just felt like that a guy like that. I mean, I just wanted to see him be, an elite, physical condition, so he can play more snaps and be more dominant and be more effective, and I think he's at his best, when he's inside. That's what he is. That's what he does well. So just being able to have other guys that allow him to do that. So, but just, right now it's about work ethic. He's had a great offseason. We have several guys we've targeted to be able to, elevate themselves, and he was one of them, because I think he has another level to go to from watching him on film, and he obviously did some great things last year, but I think he can play a lot better. I really do, and so that's our goal, is to get him to be playing his best football. Yep. Yeah, so he's one of those guys where when I went through and evaluated the defense, I had him like, this guy's got all the physical traits that you're looking for, and so I met with him individually, and, I gave him a comparison. I said, this is kind of how I see you, and now he was injured. He didn't practice in the spring, so I've not seen him practice yet, other than work out, those kind of situations, but anxious to see him in fall camp. And you're right. I mean, he's one of our most talented players, and he has the speed, the length, the athleticism, the vertical jump, the broad jump, all the physical traits, all the things that it takes to be great. He's a tough kid, and excited to get him healthy and keep him healthy. That's going to be a major objective for us. But yeah, to me, he's a guy that doesn't get talked about probably enough, in my opinion. But he's got to prove it. He's got to stay healthy, and he's got to go out there and make plays on game day. But I'm excited for him. I'm excited about him, and I believe he's poised to have a great season, and I expect him to. I think he's special.
5-minute warning with this group.
Yeah. Yeah. I said, as a collective group, to me, I think Ricardo Jones was another one. I saw him as a guy that we needed to play at an elite level. I saw flashes of that. Kylan Griffin is another guy that stuck out to me, that I saw flashes. I would be watching film, and that's kind of how I do this. I go through and I watch film from the previous season, and just like, okay, this guy sticks out, this guy sticks out, and even whatever their role is, whenever they're playing, and those two guys, I was even watching film even the other day. I'm like, man, who was that guy just flashed? And it was Kylan Griffin, and so it was just like those kind of guys, and that have to step up for us to be an elite defense. I feel like that. I know he's new, but I think Will Help, to me, is a guy that he came here with a great work ethic and mindset. But when you got a guy on one side of the ball that plays a certain way like TJ does, you got to have somebody on the other side, to be able to keep them honest up front. And I think Will can be that guy. I think Cade, to me, he plays extremely hard, but I wanted to see him do some things with his body. I wanted to be able to get him bigger and stronger, and be a guy that's made more plays, because his efforts is always there. But I want to see him be more productive, because that's where this all comes to me, is that when you've got a defense where they just can't focus on certain guys. I mean, where you just got a whole unit that no matter who we put in there, they're going to be somebody they got to handle, they got to deal with. And so I think even K-Park, to me, is the guy that. And I haven't seen him either. We had several guys that did not get to play or did not get to practice in the spring due to some injuries, and he was another one of those. And so, but I think he's a guy that I see needs to elevate himself. He needs to be a dominant football player, and I believe he can be. Allen Green's another one to me that flashed. I'm like, hey, this guy's athletic. This guy's explosive. This guy's he's got some different twitch to him, and to me he's another one that stuck out to me on film. And I just there were several, and that's what I guess it excited me about this group, that I feel like that there's another level to go to, and that all sounds great, and we got to do it, and so that's where it's about. It's not about the potential that they think that you might have or what someone thinks you can do. It's hey, I want to hear, and Coach said it yesterday, it was an awesome way to say it. It's the only articles that matter are the ones that are written about how you just perform. Not the articles written about what you can do or what people think you can do or what we even as coaches think you can do. I want to know what you just did. And so how do you do that? You do it by having great daily habits. And you do that by responding to coaches challenging you. Say, hey, I see this in you. And so that's one thing I try to do, just pulling guys in. And when I had my one-on-one meetings with them, just to be able to say, this is what I see that you can become. It's up to you to get there. And so those are several guys that I saw that out of.
So, biggest question about the back end of this defense?
Probably that's probably the least proven. You know, we got more guys in the box that have probably been productive and made plays. The safety position would be the one that kind of sticks out. You know, I think Khalil Barnes, to me, can be as good as he wants to be. You know, he's our most versatile guy, can play a lot of positions, can play the high safety position, can play the Tiger, which is the nickel, could even play corner if he needed to. But he's a versatile guy, but he's one guy, you know, and he's another guy I challenge because I feel like, you know, his ceiling is still, there's more for him to go to as a player, and he's responded, and that's been awesome to see. Worked extremely hard this summer, and I think Ronan Hannafin's another one. You know, I know he had limited reps a year ago at the safety position, moving over from wide receiver. Got a ton of reps in the spring. This fall camp's going to be massive for him to get him ready by game one. Already mentioned Ricardo, already mentioned Kylan. I think several guys there. Those guys that came out of spring ball as our top four. Other guys are right in the mix. I mean, then there's guys breathing down their necks and on their heels and forcing them to just have to work every day because it's all about competition for me. And there's really no set positions right now. Guys got to earn it, you know, during practice. But that probably the one position that sticks out the most would be safety. It's the least proven. But I do think that the talent is there. We just got to do a great job as coaches, and the players got to respond to be able to be in position. And when they get in those positions to make plays, they got to make them.
Coach, when you talk about the articles written, like these levels that Ryan Kelly said, you know, Peter Wood tweeted, there's some motivation going forward material. What roles do you feel comments like that play, that motivation type of thing, or is that block out the noise? How do you?
Yeah, I'm a block out the noise guy. You know, I use the phrase in my coaching career: earmuffs and blinders. You block it out. You know, you don't hear the outset. But here's the thing about that. You know, when you think about an earmuff, it just muffles what you hear because you're going to hear things, right? And so, and blinders aren't like this. Blinders are like this. You can still see. You got a focus. You know, and to me, the focus is we got to play our best football right out of the gate, and that's the focus. We got to be at our best week one, and that to me, that's why playing an opponent that forces you to do that week one, I love that. And I've been in a situation twice when I was the head coach of Indiana. We opened the season against Ohio State, you know, and they were either number one or number two, you know, in both of those years. And so similar situation, you know, where you're going to open against one of the best teams in the country right out of the gate. And so to me, that's the focus, is us being our best, and really nothing else matters. And so I want intrinsically motivated guys, you know, that understand that this is about how we prepare and ultimately how we perform. And obviously we know who we're playing week one, and we have a lot of work to do before that date gets here.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Awesome, appreciate you.